Well, here we are live on a Friday night, the 15th of May. Joe Chaffee and Joe Rayo on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, where we have so much to talk about. It's hard to know where to begin, so I'm going to begin by just taking a sip of my Friday evening
Are you tired of the media
stuff.
spinning the truth and pushing?
You need a professional logo for your
Oh, come
What are
brand.
you
on.
doing?
I'm trying to lower the volume on YouTube,
You
which
could
runs, of
just
course,
you
about a
could
minute
just
behind you.
you could just mute it.
I can't because while I'm waiting for us to come up, there's no uh, there's nothing there for me to
Oh
mute.
right, yeah, you got to let. I got you. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So Uh, here we are. Welcome to everybody that's watching from the Meteorologist Joe Chaffee Weather app, or maybe you're coming to us from Facebook or from Twitter or from who knows where. But we're glad to see you here on a Friday night. So, what do you say we start with the severe weather that's going on in upstate New York, because that's where the tornado watch is setting up pretty much as advertised. When they went to that enhanced risk, I guess they weren't fooling around, because some of these cells have been
Right.
pretty strong. Bunches of severe thunderstorm warnings have been out. A few tornado warnings that I saw, at least one that I saw anyway. So let's go to that first.
And that was, as you just said, not completely unanticipated. Again, we had the enhanced areas off to the north. The question is how many of those now, as they work southbound, will still be robust enough to perhaps set off maybe a severe thunderstorm alert for parts of the immediate tri-state area. Joe, I don't think that we're going to see much of anything here in the immediate tri-state until sometime between 9 and midnight tonight.
Yeah, this is the Albany radar, Joe, and I mean there were a couple of isolated cells. There's actually an isolated cell that rolled across northwestern Orange County, and it looks like it's just going to pass by to your north. It's weakening. There's another cell that a couple of cells that developed in Connecticut, but the main line is up to the north, and that runs, I mean from Middlebury and beyond, going southwestward. I see there's a working tornado. There were two working tornado warnings up, one near Utica, and those are done. And another one just popped up east of Binghamton and south of, is that Delhi? Yeah, Delhi, New York. South of Oneonta, there's a snaking line, a little Boeing in there on the radar view. So pretty impressive.
The locally here in Putnam Valley, we had the sun out, but we also had what appeared to be some kind of shower, big raindrops, big and widely separated.
Yeah, there
And
it is. I have the local radar up, so you can see it there. It actually went right overhead, this little shower that
yeah,
went by.
yeah. But the main thrust of all of this is still again off to our north. And again, the question is, now that we're behind in the maximum diurnal heating department, the sun is now lowering. It'll be below the horizon in about an hour or so. After that, these storms are going to begin to weaken, and the question is, just how strong will they be when some of them finally work their way into parts of the tri-state area in 2 or 3 hours' time?
I don't know. There's a line now, Bennington to just south of Albany to about Hunter Mountain to Monticello. That's where the storms are. The bottom part of that line really doesn't look all that impressive. I'm going to move down to the Philadelphia, the Mount Holly radar. There's a little cluster there around Scranton and Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, and moving east. That might move into Sussex County, but other than that, it just doesn't look all that impressive. The southern end doesn't. I want
Right.
the northern
Okay.
end is a different story. I want to go up also, take a look up in New England, because this is the tornado watch that's up. And by the way, folks, as always, it's 7:05. Boston's radar is down. Thank you so much. Um, uh, Here's a view from Albany, and it's these radars you're seeing right now. It's 7:05 Eastern time. So if you're watching this on a replay, obviously the radars are dated. So please go to weather.gov, to your local National Weather Service forecast office, to monitor any real-time developments in severe weather. There's some solid storms that are now moving through southern Vermont near Bennington. there was a tornado warning that went up between Glens Falls and Bennington, and now it's gone. But there's a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings that are up for southern Vermont into southwestern New Hampshire, around Keene, down to Pittsfield, and also looks like we have a warning east of Albany, and in the counties that are south of Albany. What is that? North of Dutchess County, that's Columbia County,
Columbia
correct?
County.
Yeah, so it
Columbia.
looks like there's a warning up there right now that goes back to Hunter Mountain. That's the powerhouse part of the line. It's moving through upstate New York, and then there's some residual heavier downpours west of the line that's moving across the western and central New York. That's coming in behind it. That's going to play its way out to the east in short order. And here's the look on the wider radar view. Now, just bear in mind that the wide radar view is probably about 15 minutes behind the radars I just showed you, which are much closer to real time. And there's some showers and storms in western New York flaring up into northwestern PA. But again, as you said, Joe, with the diurnal heating getting shut off pretty much now, it's hard to see how these storms are going to hold together, because the upper trough with this is not like some of the upper troughs we've seen in the last couple of weeks. It's not that deep. So it's all fine and dandy supporting these storms that developed today. And by the way, the warm sector that developed was pretty impressive, going all the way up into northern New England. But once we get past, we're going to be past sunset now soon, and I think the bulk of this stuff is going to wind up falling apart.
Well, there's more of an easterly component to the movement of the line as opposed to a southerly movement. Obviously, if this line were really pressing rapidly southward, I'd say, oh, of course, we're going to be in line for some big boomer activity. But the thing that throws the monkey wrench into all of that is, in fact, I think that the line itself is moving more to the east, or maybe east northeast, as opposed to straight south.
Right.
So you're right. So the trailing end, which has a few big storms in it right now, as we progress, further into the evening, and as the temperatures begin to cool, some of those storms, I'm not going to say are totally going to dissipate, but they may not have the same ferocity as what we have been seeing over the last couple of hours up to our north and west.
We also have a lot of severe weather going on in parts of West Texas. The radar is really loading up. Also in Oklahoma, some storms west and southwest of Houston as well. Some scattered storms developing in parts of Mississippi and northern Louisiana. There are severe weather risks that are going on in this area that SPC is indicating. This is the tornado watch that is up in the Northeast until 10 o'clock Eastern time. The western part of that watch has been eliminated clearly because the line has moved on through. So you'll see this get clipped off as these thunderstorms move on to the east. That was the original tornado watch that was up from a few hours ago. Now here's SPC's Storm Prediction Center's risk areas. Of course, obviously what's going on in the Northeast is playing itself out, so the enhanced risk was certainly justified. Good call by SPC to upgrade early as they did. And we have much of West and Central Texas in enhanced risk of severe weather tonight, and almost the whole state is under a slight risk. And Texas is no small state. It takes you 10 hours to cross it from one end to the other. So severe weather risk there, extending up into Oklahoma. You got marginal risk going into the central Gulf Coast, and you've got slight risk working its way up through eastern Colorado and western Nebraska. So it's pretty busy in the land of severe weather tonight. The other thing I want to point out, and we could see this on the radar, Joe, down in Florida, of course, we're waiting to see what's going to happen here with regards to low pressure developing and a subtropical depression or a subtropical storm that may come out of this. One thing I am noticing, if you look at the radar, you could definitely see a counterclockwise turning in the echoes here. So it looks as if there's some kind of low pressure center that is beginning to develop, certainly in the higher levels of the atmosphere. And on the last analysis that was done let's see if they got the 21Z map out yet. On the 18, got the 21Z, and the WPC boys on the plot they're analyzing a low just off the southeast coast of Florida, in the coastal waters on the northern edge of the Florida Straits. And the other thing to look for, of course, and this is where you just pull up the local obs and take a look. You want to find that circulation. One of the things you're going to look for is you're going to look at these wind barbs along the Florida coast. You want to see a northwest wind, because that'll be the signal that the low level circulation is formed. Right now, we're actually seeing a few wind barbs that are northeast or almost due north. In inland Miami, Kendall Miami Executive Airport has a north wind at 5 knots. I mean, it's only 5 knots, but the direction is what's important. So if we start seeing northwest winds, say in the Keys or in Homestead Air Force Base, they're northeast at 10 knots. So if we start to see these wind barbs going to the northwest, that'll be the sign that we're seeing something develop. So far as wind gusts are concerned, not seeing anything worth noting. I mean, most of the wind gusts are running in the 15 to 25 mile an hour range along the coast. You know, if we start seeing 30 knots or higher, 35 miles an hour or higher, then we know that we've got something significant. But we're going to be watching this very carefully as we go through the overnight, as John Hope used to say. We're going to watch this a little more carefully. So we're going to keep an eye on this during the overnight. And I think maybe certainly by this time tomorrow, they'll have something out there. Here's what it looked here on the satellite loop, Joe. Starting to see a little more organization. Still a bit of a mess off the Florida coast, but starting to see a little bit more organization there. And of course, you can see all the clouds with the thunderstorms in the northeast go all the way back down into the plain states.
Right. John, you mentioned a name from the past, John Hope. John Hope was kind of like the Dr. Fauci of hurricanes on the Weather Channel.
I guess that's a good way to describe him.
Yeah, he was good. Not to put any of the people who have preceded him down, but he was the man, and he was, after all, I believe he worked for many years at the National Hurricane
Oh
Center.
yeah.
So,
Well, and it was he was we used to we used to love to wait for him to come on the air with the tropical outlook. So at 10 to the hour.
right. He was kind of like the E.F. Hutton of weather tropical updates. When John Hope talks, people listen.
Well, certainly all the weather people listen. So busy tonight on the satellite loop, obviously, and of course, starting to see even some of the clouds, a little bit of rotation here off the Florida coast. So that could be a sign that this weather system is beginning to take shape. Back to SPC. I'm going to be jumping around today, so just bear with me, folks. I just want to cover this for tomorrow. Severe weather, marginal risk, northern Missouri, southern Iowa, western Illinois, and also in East Texas and western Louisiana. On Sunday, we have a marginal risk of severe weather in eastern Illinois, Indiana, much of Kentucky, and into Ohio. And that's the next weather system that's swinging into the east. And just for laughs, days 4 to 8, I'm guessing, okay, potential too low on day 4, 5, predictability too low on day 6, potential too low on days 7 and 8. So it doesn't look overly bullish with regards to severe weather in the day 4 to 8 time frame, but we have other fish to fry for next week. So let's go to the upper air and take a look at what's happening. Shall we? Surely. So here's our upper trough, and of course we had a beautiful up until this. It's still nice here. Starting to get a little bit of a sea breeze here out my way, which is not unusual in May. With a west wind, you almost always get a sea breeze that gets in here. It usually doesn't. In a case like today, it arrives at like 6 or 7 o'clock. But your upper trough, as we said, it's cutting across there in southern Canada, north of Lake Ontario. If you follow us every night, you can tell that upper trough really doesn't look all that impressive. And of course, the other thing we're keeping an eye on is this little space there that's off the Florida coast, because that's where your subtropical system is going to be coming from. And there it is by the time we get to tomorrow evening. Joe, next trough drops into the plains and swings to the Great Lakes. And this is where, we mentioned, we've been talking about this for the last few days. This upper low, it's either going to kick this system out to the northeast or it's going to absorb it. Either way, we're not going to get anything. At least our area. Certainly from Delaware on up into southern New England, we're not going to see any kind of intact. I don't think. I don't think we're going to see any kind of intact low hugging the coast. I don't care what the NAM shows. It just doesn't seem to me like this should do that. That it would either get kicked out to the northeast or get swallowed up by the upper low and the non-tropical low that's going to develop out of this. The thing is, it really sort of doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the strength of that strong upper low is going to create a fairly strong onshore flow here that develops during Monday and really starts to strengthen for Tuesday and Wednesday. So we're gonna get rain either way, regardless of whether there's a subtropical system or not. The only thing with the subtropical system is if it's hanging out there southeast of Cape Cod, it just enhances that long fetch of easterly winds, bringing the threat for some coastal flooding at high tide for Tuesday and Wednesday.
And I do believe that the best chance for coastal flooding will come on Tuesday with the tighter gradient. But again, Joe, you may hear some forecasters say that Arthur, or the storm that may ultimately become Arthur, is going to be the reason why we're going to be seeing wet weather or rainy weather Monday into Tuesday. It's not really that.
No, it's the upper low.
It's the upper low that's going to be bringing the and probably generating some sort of a surface system near the North Carolina Cape by Tuesday, and then that thing is just going to sit there until the upper low finally says, "All right, it's time for us to mosey out of here." But it may not be until later next week.
Right, it doesn't get kicked out. It doesn't get kicked out northeast of into New England until sometime later Friday or Friday night. Now that would bode well if it times that way. It should bode well for the Memorial Day weekend, I would think.
We would hope.
Yeah, and then by the time we get to Monday, Memorial Day, it actually could turn out to be on the warm side if there's a nice ridge that builds into the eastern part of the U.S. So fingers crossed. Upper lows in the springtime can be a real forecast nightmare because of the fact that you have to figure out the track. This is a situation where it's not behaving. It is just at least temporarily getting trapped in the east because of the fact that the jet stream basically is pulling up into Canada, and you've got rising pressures across much of southeastern Canada here, and as a result, that upper low is just left behind. So you're going to wind up with some kind of surface low and onshore flow, strong onshore flow. Again, I tend to think of if we do get a subtropical storm, it may come up close to the North Carolina coast, and then I think it should turn northeastward, and either way, either it goes out or it gets absorbed. It really doesn't make a difference in terms of what the practical implications are, because as we said, they would be the same anyway. I did pull it up before. I don't think I saved it, so let's see if I can bring it up again. Let's go to. I'm going to go on Tropical Tidbits. Lee Viscount's great website. For those of you who might still have been asking, yes, typhoon. We have tropical storm Vang Fang, which is moving northward and northeastward now, and going goodbye.
That sounds like one of those movies that you see on Saturday night on MeTV on Svengoolie.
Yes. All right, so we do have our first spaghetti plots of the season. the
Aha.
Surreo.
Aha.
And unlike the models, unlike the global models and the mesoscale models, all having some sort of variation, the of this taking a more left track, the European and the hurricane tracking models, they're all pretty tightly clustered, well offshore. One of the things, one of the rules that I use in my mind is when I see these things clustered as close as this is, I mean, even out to 96 hours, the different models are all very close together. That usually lends a high degree of confidence in the idea that we're going to wind up taking this out northeastward and offshore. So maybe it getting absorbed by the upper low is off the table, but I tend to think that this is going to be moving out. And as far as strengthening is concerned, when we look at we're looking at models here. Uh, the intensity guidance actually does most of the intensity guidance models actually do strengthen this into a tropical storm, into tropical storm strength or subtropical storm strength.
Right.
Miami's going to have to figure out what they got out there.
Yeah, and I think Joe, you said by later tomorrow. I think, frankly, the way the various models have been looking at this thing, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they give this a name as early as noontime tomorrow, maybe even earlier, maybe even the 5 o'clock, 5 a.m.
Well, we might have a new
thing.
tropical weather outlook coming out soon, so let's see what they say.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm going to go back to. I want to go back to the. Let's go short range. Let's go to the. First off, let's pull up the HRRR so we can look at these storms that are going on right now. And yeah, Joe, you look at the HRRR, the line gets almost completely wiped out as it goes through here between midnight and 2 a.m. So
Right. I think midnight will be just about the end of it. I mean, I could see a couple of lingering or residual showers hanging on in one or two spots until about 2 or 3 in the morning, and then actually skies will begin to clear toward daybreak tomorrow morning, and many folks will, I think, will have a mostly sunny day tomorrow, and that's kind of nice considering that a couple of days ago, I don't know about you, but I was thinking more clouds than sun.
yeah, I think you're right though. It looks like the high overwhelms a bit more the frontal boundary instead of stalling out, say in southern New Jersey or through Delaware. It looks like it pushes down all the way into southern Virginia. So that allows for some drier air, I think, to come down. So tomorrow should be a pretty good day. What'd you do with temperatures tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I think many spots will be in the low 70s. It might even get in some urbanized spots like New York City. I wouldn't be surprised if it got to maybe as high as 75.
Well, if we wind up with sun for most of the day, I'm
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
So rolling the NAM along now, Sunday. You start to see these southeast isobars. I think we're probably going to have some clouds come in on Sunday. Whether there's I don't even want to get cute. Could there be a brief isolated shower someplace? I suppose it's possible. The NAM wants to bring this subtropical system virtually over the Outer Banks, and then of course you've got the Great Lakes system swinging east, and of course I don't know if you caught this, but I love the NAM's look here on its 84 hour, where you look at the structure of what it sees on the radar, and it basically looks like a hurricane. That it's just so ridiculous. It's got the swirl out there. There probably will be
Yeah.
some kind of swirl that looks like that, but that swirl you're seeing on the map, it looks a lot worse than it probably is. A 93 low, I mean, that would certainly be gales offshore. And of course, you do see that they have the rain. That was the other thing I was having a difficult time, Joe. The models, it looked like it was going to be raining across New England down to about New York City on Monday. Now it looks like Monday we're just going to be sitting in clouds with the strengthening onshore flow, and then rains start to come in during Monday night and on Tuesday. So I kind of just was. I had to massage my forecast a bit with regards to that. I'm guessing you're on the same page.
I think, yeah, I would agree. Late Monday night, and especially Tuesday, that's when we'll have the real wet stuff. coming in. But again, more attributable to the upper low as opposed to that offshore tropical system.
And here's the GFS with the low, the offshore system at 37 and a half and about um, uh, 37.5 north and about 72.1 or 72.2 west. It actually brings it not too. You see what happens here, folks, if you watch it. You've got the coastal low, the new low that forms in Virginia. The tropical low gets kicked out to the northeast, and then it's just gone. By the time we get to Tuesday night, this is where the GFS basically, has this low in southeastern Virginia, and that really just kind of absorbs everything else. I've just been told by Tony Harrison, thank you to Anthony, that a tornado warning for Ulster County has just been issued.
Oh, lovely. I see that. Yeah, Tim Veltman mentions that tornado warning, Ulster County. Paul Roman, you good?
Yeah, that's up where
You
Paul
good? Are
Roman
you
is.
good? Or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I better call my daughter. She lives in Ulster County.
you got to let her know. Now here's what with the upper low in the east just hanging out there. You see what happens with the surface low; it just never gets out of the way, and that means the threat for showery rains continue Thursday and then into Friday, and then finally by the time we get to Saturday, it's all gone. So I guess that's the way to play it. And then of course, if we get a little bit of an upper ridge to build in here, Sunday and Monday should be okay as we head toward Memorial Day. But that is
I just,
so long range.
I just wanted to stress again that this weekend, while it may be cloudier and cooler on Sunday, I think most, if not all, of this weekend, at least for the Lower Hudson Valley, sure turn out to be dry. It may not be so nice looking on Sunday as opposed to Saturday, but at least you can do outdoor activities on both days. And then we'll see how early next week turns out relative to, again, where Arthur or soon to be Arthur goes and where that upper low happens to drop into the mid-Atlantic area.
I just put up the radar and updated it. Let me loop this. It didn't, they got the severe thunderstorm warnings that are up, but the box is up. It didn't, this might be a little behind by a couple of minutes. 7:18 is the last frame, so it's 9 minutes behind. So Anthony Harrison said that there's with the tornado warning in Ulster County. So it must be that cell that if you see where Monticello is, there's a really strong cell that's formed north of the word Monticello going into Ulster County. So that must be what the cell that they're following along with respect to the tornado warning. And again, to remind everybody, if you're watching this on a replay, it's 7:27 Eastern Time. So go to weather.gov to get the latest weather information regarding any severe weather. Because if you're watching this at midnight or 1 o'clock, all of this is going to be long gone, and you're going to be, you might be asking, what is he talking about? So it's live now, but it's dated when you watch it later.
I'm right now. I'm calling my daughter Joe because, yeah, hello. Can I put her? We're doing a live right now on the Joe and Joe show. Do you mind if I put you on speaker for a second so that the world can hear you?
I brought you up full screen.
This is the first. This is the first now, folks.
Hi, Maria.
This is my daughter Maria, who lives in the New Paltz area. And Maria, I just wanted to let you know that according to the National Weather Service in Albany, there's a tornado warning that's now in effect for Ulster County, and this dangerous storm with the impact of possibly causing flying debris, dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be you don't live in a mobile home, thankfully, will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. And the Weather Service at Albany is saying that this dangerous storm will be near New Paltz, Hurley, and Tilson at 7:35. You've got exactly 6 minutes to take cover.
Yeah, the skies are getting dark.
The skies are getting dark.
You gave your daughter all of 6 minutes. Boy, you're a kind soul.
If you happen to see a woman on a bike just outside of your window of your house, you know you're in trouble.
Right. If she answers to,
I got my phone went off. I got a weather alert. It started beeping saying tornado warning.
Okay, well, you've been
Your
alerted by both.
father doesn't keep his phone turned on long enough to know what those are.
Anyway, take cover now, Maria. Move to your basement or an interior room or on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Your building is sturdy.
I was just texting Mom, and she was saying, move my car, make sure it's in a safe spot.
Right. The last thing you want to do is have a tree fall on the car.
Not my new car.
Oh,
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
no.
You don't want to
All
do
right,
that.
Well, good luck.
All right, I'll keep you posted.
Okay, thank you. Maria Rayo, ladies and gentlemen, from New Paltz, where a tornado warning is in effect and where a storm is heading right for her house.
All right, so let's go to the Hurricane Center and see if they've done anything. Their last update. Ooh, we have some new update, I think. As of no, the last thing they wrote was as of 2:10. So they haven't put up. The next one is supposed to be 9 p.m., which means that the minute we stop this live stream is when they'll send it out. An Air Force reconnaissance aircraft is scheduled to investigate tomorrow morning. So unless they get obvious, Joe, gales that show up on the OBS along the Florida coast or offshore. They do have gale warnings up for the coastal waters. I just clicked something that was supposed to take me to some graphical forecast, and yeah, it didn't quite do that. So maybe this is the first one of the season for them. Maybe they're just trying to get the bugs out of the system. But
right.
yeah, I mean, if they start seeing 30 or 30 knot gusts along the coast with a north or a northwest wind, that's when you'll probably see them jump and do some sort of upgrading to maybe a subtropical depression, or if it's something notable in terms of wind, they'll take it a grade higher. We'll see what they do. I think probably at this time tomorrow the name Arthur will more than likely be floating around somewhere.
It's true. It's true. Like I said, it might be as early as the 5 a.m. advisory tomorrow morning when they make a decision as to christening this. I'd be very surprised, though, if they got, beyond noontime and still hadn't christened it, because this thing looks like it's really going to start rapidly winding up, so to speak.
Yeah. No gremlins tonight. The chat board seems to be working okay, and that's a good thing. My buddy Phil is on tonight. He's watching the show, which is always good when Phil Buzz watches the live streams. He didn't cut his hair. I lent him my clippers to cut his hair. For him to cut his hair. He kept them for a week, and he didn't have the guts enough to cut his hair. He was afraid to do it.
Yeah. Well, my hair is starting to really get shaggy. I would have gotten a haircut a while ago, and so
yeah, no, this has got to go. I got as soon as I'm done with the live stream, I'm gonna go clean myself up. My goatee needs a little bit of cleaning too. I did 7.5 miles today on my walk.
lovely.
So let's do a little bit of a Briller Jeopardy.
At first, I also want to thank Tim Veltman. Did not acknowledge. I'll acknowledge it here. He sent me a message last night, I guess during or just after our Joe and Joe show last night, saying a lot of us are having problems. Mr. Rayo, we have all been losing the stream and the chat board, but tonight, as you mentioned, Joe, everything is a-okay.
Good. So here's a question for tonight. The category is drive-in movie theaters. It's a two-part question. So with regular movie theaters shut because of coronavirus, drive-ins could make a comeback this summer. Approximately how many drive-ins are left in the United States?
Oh, well, that was an easy question. Before the pandemic, I think there was probably maybe a handful, maybe like 2 or 3 or 4.
In the whole U.S.?
In the whole U.S.
305, apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
305. And what 3 states have the most drive-ins?
Arkansas.
No, New York, Pennsylvania, and Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah, that was kind of a surprise to me. I would have thought it would have been less. Of course, you and I remember the Whitestone Drive-In.
That's right.
I what
WB Drive-In.
I went there a couple of times with my friends packed inside the trunk, and we got caught once and got thrown out.
Oh God. I went the last time I went to that drive-in, and I was literally a stone's throw away
Oh yeah,
from
we could walk
drive-in.
to it.
And I mean, yeah, we could have walked. The last movie I saw at that, get this now, with Fred McMurray, Son of Flubber.
I
That
don't
goes,
even remember what it was we went to see.
yeah.
When I first moved out to Center Reach on Long Island, there was a drive-in. There was a drive. I think it had just closed or it was about to close. There was a drive-in right near the Smith Haven Mall. But that's long gone, and that's been turned. They built houses on all that property.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that was either. I don't know if I remember it actually being open. I think they may have just closed it when I moved out here. I mean, we're talking 33 years ago. It was a long time ago.
Right.
Yeah. Drive-ins, when we were kids, there were far more of them, obviously, and of course, now as we said, there's only 305 left
And
nationwide.
and we all remember in the uh, famous hit song that Nat King Cole sang, "Those lazy, hazy, crazy days of summer."
Yes.
There's a line in that song, "Don't have to tell a boy or girl about a drive-in." That's probably more. There's probably more action going on in the car than on the screen.
Well, they probably could never tell you what movie they actually went to see.
Yeah, yeah.
So this weekend, um, so we got our Sunday morning show. No, Phil, I can cut my own hair. I'm going to take the buzzer to it after we're done here. But you need to cut yours. You have to. I'll give you the clippers back. The
Okay.
I don't know. Are you around tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm not doing anything.
If this subtropical system gets going, maybe we'll jump on at some point during the day and do a live stream. Otherwise, because Joe and I usually take Saturday off. But if we don't do anything tomorrow, we will be here Sunday morning for our usual Sunday morning live stream at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So you can bring your coffee or your beverage of choice and join us on the Joe and Joe show on Sunday. Any plans for the weekend?
Not much. The kids will be coming over on Sunday, and so we'll have a semi-family reunion then. But tomorrow, it'll be a nice day, and I'm sure that Mrs. Rayo will have me doing something outside, like pulling weeds or you know some something that you would do on a glorious late spring day.
She puts you to work.
Well, what else am I doing these days, Joe?
Well, that's true. Same here. All right, so folks, let's wrap it up on a Friday night. Everybody have a great evening. Stay safe this weekend, please. And of course, as we said, maybe we'll sneak on tomorrow. If we do come on tomorrow, I do what I usually do, which is set the live stream up usually an hour or so beforehand, and this way you'll get a heads up. If you're on Patreon, you'll definitely get your heads up. And thanks for those of you who are watching from the Meteorologist Joe Chaffee weather app, or if you're watching from Facebook or Twitter. Please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please, which is absolutely free, so you can get notified when these streams do come on, which is usually once a day. And then march your semi-soft rear ends over to Joe Rayo's YouTube page, Joe Rayo Weather, and subscribe to his.
We're
So
up to
that
we're up to 778, Joe.
the first hurricane that threatens the U.S. Will, particularly if it threatens the anywhere in the East, uh, you'll get your 1,000 subscribers with
I'm
that.
sure it'll be like toward the end of Animal House, where the guy's standing out there saying, "Everybody keep calm."
Yes. All right, folks. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Sunday morning, if not tomorrow, Joe. See you tomorrow, if not Sunday morning. And take care.
Bye.